Our story begins with war. A clashing of gods so destructive that nearly 2/3 of the population would not survive. They call this time the Calamity. In an effort to escape the decimation of the surface world, 5 families took refuge in an isolated area of the Underdark, drawn in by the innate well of magical power. Only to find that they were not the only ones drawn to the magic, and the denizens of the dark would not let it go so easily. War waged both above and below, until a device was crafted, an accumulation of 5 crafts bound as one to push back the evils of the darkness from whence they came. Now, centuries have passed, and a city has been forged in total isolation from the world above, and as such, the Nameless city has known peace. However, nothing good ever truly lasts, and the darkness has always promised to come back. Now, faced with a resurgence of evils long since put at bay, 3 champions must rise, tasked with gathering an army strong enough to push back the darkness once and for all. These unsuspecting heroes must brave the world of the surface and the unknown dangers that lie in wait, in order to save their city, their people, and any hope for the future that remains. Jaz'Zara Telena, a half-drow Gloomstalker ranger, tasked with the protection of her companions and burdened with a dangerous curiosity for the unknown world above. She hunts the darkness with arrows more precise than the morals that dictate her aim.
Asha, a Dhampir Twilight cleric who walks the fine line between knowledge both sacred and forbidden. Under the caring eye of the Moonweaver and the otherworldly gaze of haunting red glow of the moon Brutus, she toes the line of darkness and light to bring forth the magic of twilight.
Valkaria Nykor, a tiefling shadow sorceress coalesced from arcane shadows and carved from the frozen flames of the deepest pits of the Nine Hells. Youth and duty clash within as the world before her unfolds.
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
It's Misty.
It's Ani.
And Aaron.
And we are back with another session of D&D. So, let me give you guys a little recap before we go jumping into things, because a lot's happened in the last couple of episodes. In our last session, our party was traipsing through a cave after the escapade of fish, and which prompted our party to 2 separate members of the party to fall into separate pits. Spend a little bit of time stuck in a pit.
It was a good thing it was a separate pit, because it would have become a deathmatch pit very quickly.
Very quickly from a pit to a deathmatch pit to maybe somebody's grave, in all honesty. And
Mel said she's sorry.
Asha was not in the mood to hear sorry.
Fair.
She's still sorry.
So after being rescued from multiple pits, our party stumbled across literally the world's biggest toad ever, and was able to convince it to give it a ride across the little mini lake, where they encountered, finally, Hulil and her weird, creepy minion with a lot of tattoos. And in the process of interrogating these 2 people, and really just kind of getting the vibe that they crazy, like a different kind of crazy. The party discovered that both people were in fact sick with the frozen sick illness and were slowly freezing to death. In this little chamber that the party found themselves in, on one wall was a giant mural with a 5-headed dragon. And there was also an interesting stone chest, which was carved in the shape of a dragon. After doing some serious investigating with it and spending a bit of time trying to pick the lock on it, Valkaria managed to get it open without infecting herself or any of the other rest of the party with the frozen sick illness, which it had been booby-trapped with.
We are all as surprised as you are.
When she sets her mind to something, Val's pretty good.
No, I know.
That's true.
But sometimes the dice were against her.
Yes, true.
That's true, too.
Sometimes Fate is true.
That's true, too.
Sometimes Fate is against her.
Exploring the contents of the chest, the party was intrigued to find out that there was more in here than just the gold that was said to be in it. And they found what was truly the most cursed artifact Valkaria had ever seen in the form of a green dragon mask. The mask is ornate, beautiful, and truly pure evil. The party decided to keep it and the other contents of the chest, which included all of the missing artifacts from Pelk's Curiosities, and go back to the town after convincing these wayward psycho mob people
Psycho mob.
to take the gold and split while they still had the chance, which they did. Giving them a head start by a day, the party camped out in the cave for the evening before making their way back to their own town and reporting back to Elro. Once there, they were unfortunately met with the reality that the frozen sick illness had spread and had gotten Irvin, Fenton, and their 2 small daughters, Honor and Magic, all of which were very ill. And if a cure was not found in time, all would unfortunately meet the same fate as the other victims of the frozen sick illness and would slowly freeze to death. The party immediately tasked with boarding a boat and going to the town of Silrenia, just across the water and towards Eiselcross, in hopes of finding the head healer of the town that's there, in hopes to bring her back, or at least send her back, to the Pale Bank Village in order to buy our poor little family here some more time and give our party the opportunity to find a cure to this illness. Unfortunately, the trials and tribulations of a boat are unknown, as none of our party have truly set sail on a sea before. So with their very first adventures on a boat in Tale, and with a very firm task set in front of them of sending the healer back to Palebank, and for finding a cure for the frozen sick illness, the party is in a race against time in hopes that they can make it back with a cure before a whole little family doesn't make it and nobody's there to play dragons with Valkaria anymore. So, our party finds themselves on a boat. A huge boat, to be fair. The biggest boat any of you have ever seen. The boat is about 40 feet long. It's manned by a small crew of 6. And is quite interesting to all of you, to be fair, because the open sea is rather new, because the only oceans you've ever seen are in a cave.
Really hoping Val is not seasick.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, great.
So
She said that.
you all are on this boat. You've just set sail. You've been sailing for maybe an hour or so. You were ushered onto the ship very quickly by Elro, who really wanted you guys to get going as soon as possible because time is definitely of the essence here. He shoves you all on the ship and doesn't bother introducing you to anybody, just gives you some supplies, shoves you on the ship, and the ship sets sail fairly quickly. You are all kind of like hanging out on this deck. The boat is long. It's got like it has like 2 floors technically. Like it has the main deck, and then there's like some stairs that lead up to the next one, a la regular pirate ship style. The wheel is up on that second level. It's got 1 main mast, but it also has like some sails towards the front too that hang off of like the whatever the hell's the name of the pointy thing that goes off the front of the ship is called. I didn't do boat research for this, and I'm not going to. So like y'all just gonna have to deal with pointy thing on front of ship.
That's fine.
It is. You all know that it is a 2-day trip to Silrenia. Even going at top speeds, it'll still take you 2 days to get there. You weren't given much information on the town, but nobody's really stopped to explain anything to you as you watch these 6 people kind of like dart around the ship, just doing all kinds of duties, yelling at things at each other and talking to themselves. It's pretty early it's probably about like 11 a.m. at this point. You guys are, it got to the village fairly early because it only took you guys a half day to get back. And you guys left really early that morning. And they were literally just went from that onto a boat, and with no really in-between moments there. So it's about 11 a.m. You're standing in the middle of a boat. People are running around you, barking like orders and stuff like that. And in the direct center of this boat is a very short dwarven man. He's fairly old looking. He's got a very long but very well-kept white beard. And he has both hands on his hips. He's standing there very, like, straight, proud, and all, like, 3.5 feet of his height. And he's just standing there barking orders. Sometimes they're in Dwarven, sometimes they're in Common, sometimes they're in Elvish. And he's just barking them at anybody who walks by and seems like they might have even a moment of rest.
Sounds like my grandpa.
But he's standing directly in front of the main mast. At the wheel of the ship, there is a tall elven woman. And she's wearing fairly nice clothes, but very typically like pirate fashion. She's got like the tricorn hat and all that stuff, and it's got like this very long feather that comes out of it, and that kind of like curls downward. It's from a bird you've never seen, and it's like a multitude of colors, and like weirdly long. Like this is like a 2.5 foot feather, and then like that kind of curls down. It's like very like if you walk too close to her and she turns around, she will hit you with it, like just in the face. So
I'm sure that's intentional.
Yeah, most likely. You do get that by the fairly stern look on her face. But yeah, you guys are on a ship. You don't know anybody. You don't really know what's going on, but you're on a boat. What would you like to do? How about we start by everybody making me a Constitution saving throw, not to get seasick.
That's fair, because I'm trying to think of what Val would do.
Start.
Constitution check.
Constitution saving throw.
12.
Jazz got a 10. What did Val get?
What did you get?
Val got a 9.
9? Okay. So you're on this boat, and you're sailing along, and you know you've been at sea for a little bit, and it just keeps going up, down, and Jaz'Zara does kind of like have a hand on the railing. She got a 10. She's kind of got a hand on the railing, and it's just like, this is a little new. Asha, you're doing a little better, you know? Like, you're trying to figure out, like, the rhythm of not falling on your ass as this ship just
I'm doing my
books it.
breathing exercises, you know, into the nose, out to the mouth.
Val, you're not doing as good. It doesn't feel very well. Like, you're just kind of like, this is kind of like maybe by the railing, kind of like maybe have an arm wrapped around, like, the rail, because this ship is just going up and down pretty hard.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Are there any fish visible in the water?
Make me a perception check.
Hang on, where's my perception? I have none. Alright.
You have no perception.
4.
Well, you look over the side of the boat. That's a lot of moving water, girl. Like, that don't feel good. And you can't really focus on that water quite long enough to really just, like, focus and see if you see anything. You just, as you look down and you watch all that water, like, churning and moving, you realize that's a bad idea right now. And you just probably just turn and, like, look away from the water because that makes you real sick. So,
Val is going to just curl up around that main mast pole or the railing and just tail around her, just not move.
Okay, so you like stumble over to the main mast, and right in front of it is where this dwarf, who you kind of assume is the captain, just based on the way he's standing and the way he's dressed and the way he definitely acts. So you're like, he's standing in front of it. You kind of like cling to the side and wrap your arms around it, and like you're managing to keep it all down, but really just barely. And you tomorrow will have to make another check to see if you do better and get your sea legs. Once you get your sea legs, you're fine. But like until that point, you're gonna have some disadvantages going forward because of that. And but we'll get to it as it comes into play. So, but at the moment, just your speed is going to be halved as you walk across the boat. So because you're gonna have some problems with not falling on your ass. I won't make you roll to stay up, but it's gonna take you a little extra time to get anywhere.
That's fine, as long as I get there.
So you're just like maybe claws a little bit dug into the mast, trying to keep yourself still as possible. Jaz'Zara's kind of leaning against the railing, not looking at the water, and Asha, you're standing there trying to keep yourself focused. And about that time, as Valkaria clings to the mast, the dwarf turns around and he looks at you and he's like, "Aye, not doing so well with the sea, are you, lassie?"
What makes you say that?
And he kind of shuffles down to your level, which is really just not that much further down because you're real short. And he kind of looks at your death grip on the mast, and he said, "Well, I hate to tell you this, but people who are all right with the ocean don't usually do that." And he indicates where your claws have now made holes in this mast. And he said, "I would appreciate if you didn't break the mast, because we do need it to get where we're going. But," and he pulls out a flask from his hip and he hands it to you and he says, "But this'll help take that edge off."
Val is going to just, as quickly as she can, grab that bottle and chug it.
Okay. I want you to make me another Constitution saving throw.
17.
All right, that's much better. So you take a swig of this, and fuck, it's awful tasting. It just tastes like swill. It tastes like somebody went to the bottom of the ocean and took a handful of all the silt and stuff on the bottom, threw it in a cup, and then threw just the sharpest, worst tasting liquor you could find on top of it, shook the whole thing, and put it in a bottle. It's awful. It's real awful. You keep that down too, but you take a drink of it, and you do feel your stomach kind of settle a bit. It doesn't change the fact that you'll have disadvantages and
I have mud in my stomach. Yeah.
It's just but you do no longer feel the impending horrid nausea that does come with that. So it does settle your stomach a bit, and you still might cling to the mast a little bit, but
my nails are no longer embedded into the pole.
There you go. So the nausea fades a little bit, and he's like, there you go, lassie. He does take the flask back from you. And he says, "My name is Garn Seaslate, and this here's my boat." And I can spell
I'm sorry, your name is what?
Garn. Garn.
Like darn, with a G.
Okay.
And he points past you over to the wheel, to the elven woman who's at the wheel. He says, "That there, that's my first mate. And her name is Tiln Snowdrift. Tiln.
First mate? Is that elf?
Yeah. An elven woman. And she sees you all looking at her, and she kind of gives you a two-fingered salute as she still holds on to the wheel. And Captain Garn kind of looks around. He says, "And these guys," and he points to the people running around the deck, "are a bunch of fucking idiots, and you'll learn their names whenever you feel like it." And
works for me.
One of them, a younger looking one, is he finishes tying a rope and then just kind of stands up and he takes a breather for a moment. And the second he stops doing something, Captain Garn looks at him "Hey, you, get back to work! Get! And he picks up a broom that's just kind of laying around, and he throws it at the kid. He's like, "Start sweeping something. Go, get."
Start sweeping something.
Explains why the ship is spotless.
And it is a very clean and well put together boat. You can tell it's aged. It is not a new boat by any stretch of the imagination, but what is there is organized, clean, put together. There's not a stray anything anywhere. And anything that might not be 100% put together is actively being put back in wherever it needs to go. So the additional supplies that had been given, what you assume is the town, that was given to these guys for the trip, is currently being put away and organized. And they seem very efficient. It's a smallish boat, but these people know exactly what they're doing. So, but the captain looks at you and he says, "Well, it's 2 days to Serenia. And once you guys are there, you'll have to go into the town, because I don't think and he gestures to his crew. It's like, we can't convince nobody, nothing. And I know you guys are supposed to be going to convince their healer to come back, and which they'll likely have to do on their own boat to leave right away, because it'll take us a minute or two to resupply, because we only took the bare necessities to get over here. But that'll be on y'all. And but Elro said you could handle it. I mean, you handled everything else so far. And he kind of like nudges your shoulder a little bit. It's like, I've heard some interesting things about you, all of you. And he looks at like Jaz'Zara and Asha, and he kind of leans closer to Val, and he says, I think your companions are handling the sea a little better than you are, darling.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And when he pats your shoulder, the force of this, if you were not sitting down, it would knock you on your ass. But he pats you on the shoulder real hard, and he says, it's all right. It takes practice. And he says, but not for me. And he stands up really strong and like straight and puts his hands on his hip, and he's like, not for old Captain Garn. Ain't nothing about this sea bothering me. And then he turns off to the side of the boat, and like he spits off the side of the boat. And he says, well, don't just stand there. And he looks at the three of y'all. Make yourselves useful. And he takes a crate. He shoves it at Valkaria. He takes another crate. He shoves it at Asha. And he's like, go put some stuff away. And he points at Jaz'Zara and he's like, go fill out the logs. I want to make sure there's an inventory of every single piece of brick and mortar and nail and wood on this ship right now. And, like, all three of you just kind of stand there. Just looking at it like, fuck. What just happened?
But since we all have crazy mothers, or family members, I should say, we just start moving.
I mean,
not
really.
happily, but we start moving because standing there, we know, is
Not good.
Well, y'all are bipedal, and Valkaria is, on all fours, just pushing this crate.
I imagine
with her
her
tail.
using it much like a walker.
Yeah.
Sliding
It's a tall crate. Like like you bend over a bit. Like you put it down. You use it to stand up. Kind of like get your feet a little bit. Hang on. Pick it up.
And just push.
Like move it a little ways. It's just like okay, I could do this. And you start like helping the crew like lower things down into the hold and stuff like that.
What's in my crate? Like, is it food? Is it supply? Other
So
supplies.
you
I know
open
which
it.
direction to go.
Yeah, so you open it. Asha, in yours, it has some extra rope, what looks like a miscellaneous amount of like little nuts and bolts and tools and things that you think would be used to replace some of the smaller like pulleys and stuff like that around the ship. And you can, somebody at some point like shoves a clipboard into Jaz'Zara's hands, and she's just like, and like a quill, and like, okay. And, you guys can start going through the crates and stuff like that. From where the mast is to where the hold, is open in the ship, it's probably about 15 feet. It takes Asha about 2 seconds to get to it. Takes Jaz'Zara about 2 seconds to get to it. About 2 solid minutes, it's what it takes Val to get over there. Of her slowly, just, pushing 5 feet, stopping. Taking your breath, pushing it, stopping, taking it takes.
I imagine there's a gag in there too.
A couple of maybe just sitting on the crate for a minute, and then doing it over again. So you guys, Jaz'Zara and Asha are done with their crate by the time Valkaria gets over there, and you guys, if you want to, can help Val inventory her crate, which is full of fruits.
Help her.
Oh, you're so kind.
Mostly because I don't think vomit on whatever's in there is gonna go over well with Captain Garn.
Yeah, it is. There is some food and stuff like that in it. There's some weird shape, what you assume is fruit of some sort, what looks to be just food that will last and does not look tasty. And some really dried breads as well and stuff like that, but those are right on top, they might have been thrown in there last minute and are probably, you can guess, will be eaten first. So, but those are on top, and you guys can start inventorying and helping push everything down. And Jaz'Zara is going to turn to the first mate, who is still steering the boat, and she's going to ask, could you tell us a bit about Silrenia? We quite literally don't know anything about it. And the first mate, she kind of
Question: How far away is Val from Jaz'Zara at this point?
You're standing next to each other.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Alright, so Val is going to interject and, at least, not loudly, but, mumble, just know nothing about what we're doing.
Ever.
And Jaz'Zara is going to answer you in a comment, and she's like, when did we ever know what we're doing with anything? Seriously. She's like, especially since we've been on the surface, I don't know what the fuck we are. And she kind of waves this map around.
Yes.
She kind of waves this map at you both, and she has not had a chance to really look at it. She's like, wait, this is the first time I've ever seen the continent. It's just
Everybody's a little tired, a little scared, and
a little cranky.
And a little cranky.
And a little cranky, that's fair. But, this elven woman, she's very tall, thin. She's got her hair is in a very intricate looking, very long braid. It's very, really pale blonde hair, and she's got her hat and everything like that on. And her expression on the couple hours you've been on this boat has not changed. It is of stern disapproval of literally absolutely everything, from you to the boat to the ocean to the crew. Not changed. Disapproval. And that is the only expression she has borne since you've been on here.
Cool.
She kind of leans
hard resting bitch face.
Yeah, hard resting bitch face.
Solid hard.
So she kind of leans one arm on the wheel of the boat. She says, "I was told you were all tasked with going to see Morgo of Silrenia." And Jaz'Zara says, "Well, that's a little more than we were told. Could you tell me who the hell Morgo is?"
Val's tail is just twitching because she can feel Jaz'Zara's just will to hold back slipping.
Yeah.
And on this boat, on this second level where this first mate is, where the wheel is, there's 2 sets of stairs that go up to it. And in fact, so this square right here, that's the hold you guys are currently putting stuff in, right there. And then the circle directly above it, that's the mast. And then right here is where the wheel is. And then you have stair, and then there's a doorway between those stairs, which you assume goes down. There's another, this pit into the hold, there's another one towards the front of the boat as well. But Jaz'Zara is going to start walking up the steps, and she stops about halfway. And this first mate looks at her. Her expression very faintly changes to you might think is amusement. You're not really sure. It's just a micro expression. And she kind of stares at Jaz'Zara, and she says, "Morgo is the main healer for Silrenia, and she was the one who came to Palebank when the frozen sick illness first started going through the town. She was able to help she was able to help delay the effects of it for a couple of weeks, but that was about it. In the end, she didn't have any more abilities to heal it than anybody else had. She's a unique folk, but most dwarves out there are, as everybody in Silrenia is an explorer by trade, and pretty much that's all they are. They're tasked with taking explorers who want to explore the ruins of Aor or anything else that's out there, showing them around, bringing them back, and trying to make sure they don't die or get lost in the, how do I put this? The menagerie of fucked up weird shit that happens on those islands." Jaz'Zara kind of raises an eyebrow. "Menagerie of weird fucked up shit that happens on those islands?" And she is gonna take another step up another stair. She says that. Well, and the first mate kind of looks back out at the ocean at this point, kind of turns the wheel a little. She says, "Well, depends on your definition of fucked up. Do you consider a weird dragon cult that feeds its people meat of the dragon in order to enslave their minds fucked up?"
You had me at dragon, and then you lost me at cult.
Yeah.
And Jaz'Zara kind of glances back at you guys, and she's just what? It's like, yeah, the dragon of this creature that lives under the ice is frozen there from the last war that took place. The people of the town, and she does like little air quotes, harvest regrowing meat out of the dragon as it is frozen there, and anytime you eat it, it turns you into one of the dragon's mindless zombies. And that's just one of the islands. There's another one a little further north of that one, and that one's infested with dragons. Just a shit fuck ton of dragons that will eat you. They'll just eat you. And then she points to a scar that's kind of like down the side of her face, and she says, eating you is just if you're lucky. And she's like, oh, and of course there's that area too where the environment changes every few hours, and if you're in it when it changes, you might be teleported to another plane of existence, or you might just die, or you might get warped by the magic that's in it and turn into some weird freaky creature that's a hybrid of something else too. Let's see, there's the lava. You gotta like the lava, that's fun. There's the really creepy island that nobody goes to because they're pretty sure it's infested by the literal embodiment of evil. Then, of course, there's all the weird magic shit that's left over from the ruins of Aor, from when that city crashed into the ground and infested all of the islands with its weird, creepy, magical beasts. How's that for fucked up? She looks at Jaz'Zara, and Jaz'Zara finishes climbing the stairs, and she's like, yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
That's
I don't like it.
When the lava is the least terrifying option.
I want to go home.
Well,
And Val, when you say you don't like it, like the first mate points at you and she says, nobody does, kid. Nobody fucking does.
Why do people live there?
It's the challenge. It's the
Fuck
challenge.
the challenge! Fuck the challenge!
She laughs at you. It's like, it's the challenge for survival, kid. You won't know it if you're not from here. But we all feel that way. If she turns the wheel really hard and all of you kind of like get shoved to one side. Yeah, Val, you take a minute. You have to take a full minute. You're like, so.
Why?
But Jaz'Zara's gonna step a little closer, ignoring Val, just losing it over, like, to the side. And she says, could you tell us more about the people and the place we're going? Like, we literally know nothing about any of it. And the first mate, like, Talyn nods. And she says, I don't know a lot about Morgo. Well, other than the obvious. And she kind of looks at all of you and she's like, how do y'all feel about bears? Bears. Well, if you don't like them, you better keep it to yourself, because it's not a good idea to go pissing off old werebears.
Werebears?
Werebears.
Not regular bears. Why they have to be werebears?
She is a werebear. Morgo, that old druid dwarf, is stubborn as it comes, and she has no qualms with turning into her bear form and ripping your face off if she don't appreciate what you got to say. Now, normally, she's pretty nice. However, don't piss her off. She runs that town with an iron paw, as it were.
Iron paw. Okay.
But everybody on that
Understood.
island, everybody on the island, they're explorers by trade, but more guides. They get hired out by people from all over. They got hired by the Empire mostly, and the local towns and the forts that are set up by the Empire, to get as a guide to be showing them around to some of these ruins and stuff like that. We get hired by explorers, historians, mercenary groups, weird people who just want an adventure in their lives, who usually get scared and run back the first time they see an angry bird, really. But that's what everybody in the town does, and you'll find that on that island, in that town, that If you cross one of them, if you piss even just one of them off, you're going to have a very angry town to contend with. Because they abide by pretty much just one rule. Stick together or die. Jaz'Zara just kind of like, okay then. That's good to know. She kind of like looks at both of you. And just kind of like looks back. Is there anything we can do to help? And the first
Please
mate
don't make me move.
no longer looks at any of you, and she just says, "Just don't get in the way, and we all might survive."
I can do that. I'll just sit on my crate. Goodbye.
So you all have what is now you've got a couple hours to yourselves. What would you like to do?
Have we inventoried our crates yet?
You inventoried your crates. You helped the rest of the crew like put them away. So you could do pretty much anything you wanted.
Is there anything I can do for her to make her less sad?
Oh God, less
She
sad.
is wearing her Herzog's sad beige people.
Mm-hmm. She's one of the saddest people right now.
Let's see. All right, I'm gonna say, because there's no like, she will still have the effects on her of like, the half of her speed and like all of that. But if you want to make her just feel better,
I think that would help.
I'll give you a couple options. Now,
Okay.
you can tell me that you like put something together like food-wise or something like that. Like you give her bread or water or whatever. If you want to go that route, you could try that. I will let you, if you would like to explain to me how or in what way it would affect her. The repurposing of the spare the dying cantrip works because she feels like she's dying, even if she's not. So if you would like to try and tell me how you repurpose that, you could do that too. So you could go like the food and water route. You could do just like maybe walking her through some like breathing exercises. Or if you'd like to explain to me the spin you put on the spare the dying cantrip, we could go that route too.
I think we're gonna do some herbal remedies to start. We're gonna get her some supreme, like going into the stores, not the ship stores, because I'm sure they don't have sad person cures. But yeah, I think I'm gonna whip her up. We're gonna start with what I can do, and then we're gonna attempt. Do we have like a cabin or something or anything like that's really out of the way, or are we just out on the deck?
At the moment you're standing on the deck, but you can like hail down one of the crew and ask where you're supposed to be staying if you'd like.
Sure, let's do that because we'll get her squared away, and we'll like do some. I think
If you asked me to do breathing exercises right now, I might just whip you with my tail.
If you would like to flag down somebody, I'm going to have you roll a d4 and we'll see who you get.
By yourself, I really don't give a fuck. I was trying to help you, but you know what? What am I rolling? I'm sorry.
A d4.
A d4. Because
I fully assume Asha was telling Valkaria all of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was stunned by the ingratitude.
Oh, I'm grateful. Just I can't focus on breathing.
3.
Yeah, so you flag down somebody in the middle of like having this discussion with Valkaria of absolute lack of gratitude. And as you flag somebody down, it's a young half-elven man, and he's got very short brown hair. He looks so young. You would say he looks like he's about 16, like maybe. And he's carrying this like huge crate, and as he's walking around, and he's the one that got the broom thrown at him earlier. And you wave him over, and he's like, "Oh, can I help you?"
Yeah, I'm so sorry to interrupt. I know you're totally busy, but is there like some kind of room we could go into like to rest, or is like that we're gonna stay in? Because I don't want to like take over anybody's space. Is there anything for passengers?
And he gives you just this huge grin, and he looks at all three of you, and he just looks excited.
like to see you guys, and it's just something new and something interesting. And
It's a puppy.
yeah, he's a puppy person, and he's like, oh, sure. But he starts to like reach over to shake your hand, realizes he's holding a crate, puts the crate down, then he reaches over and he tries to shake your hand, Ash. He puts his hand out for you to shake, and he's like, I'm Calhen, which is spelled Kal-HEN.
Calhen. Nice to meet you, Calhen. I'm
Nice.
Asha.
Oh, it's nice to meet you, Asha. And Jaz'Zara kind of like waves, and she's Jaz'Zara.
And the sad one over there is Val.
He's like,
Just paw, waving her hand like it's a paw that's broken. Just
he's like, I understand that. It took me a little while to get my sea legs too. It'll happen. Don't worry. You'll be going across this deck, no problem, pretty soon. Just like, he's like, it only took me a month or two to get used to it. It'll be fine.
only a month.
And
Yeah, we were hoping to get somewhere where we could kind of get some food in her and let her rest a little.
he's like, yeah, sure. Let me go ask the captain if you guys are staying with the rest of the crew or somewhere else. And they said, I'll be right back.
Thank you.
And he literally picks up his crate and he runs off. And you don't really see, like, you're not paying attention to where he goes, but, like, he runs off. And he comes back a couple minutes later. And he says, the captain said you could have one of the rooms downstairs. Most of the crew just sleep in the hammocks and in the storage area. But there's the only two real rooms are for the captain and the first mate. But there is something you guys can use. I can show you. And he points to the door. That's
That'd be great. Thank
see,
you.
you guys kind of like gather up. Jaz'Zara will offer to help Val like walk if she wants to. Just like kind of like offer like puts her arm over her shoulder and like helps her like walk. And you guys go into the cabin or like into the boat, and it like has stairs that lead down into it. And you see like in the
just
middle.
hear Val's tail just bunking
Dragging.
slowly on
Yeah.
every step.
And you guys walk into like this space, and you see like there's all of these crates and everything that you guys have been dealing with that has been loaded in here, and they're all along the walls, very well organized, into like by what it is and how it is, and like there's little labels in front of like each section, and then right in the center there's about 4 hammocks all hung together, and there is there's 2 doors. There's one to the left, and there's one to the right, and then there's a little hallway past the one to the right, and it has 2 smaller doors back there, and he leads you down this little hallway towards it, and he opens the door. It is the smallest goddamn room ever. Like, Val, you have a closet at home bigger than this door, like this room. Like, you guys could feasibly lay in it together, partially on top of each other, for sure. But it is barely just long enough for like somebody to lay down in it, and like it would fit 2 people laying down. The third one's you guys are gonna get a little cozy after once the third person lays down, and there's pretty much nothing in it except for maybe like a crate or so, and that's about it. So, but you guys do have like some supplies of like bedrolls and stuff like that.
Right.
Like you guys have like cloaks and stuff like that, so it's not like a huge problem.
Oh, look.
But
My crypt above the seas.
and there's one extraordinarily tall window, or like small window. It's probably like less than a foot big. It's very high up, but it is at the very far wall of this very rectangular thin room.
I feel like she's describing a cell at East State Pen.
She's not wrong though. That there would not
The
be a lot
cells might be bigger, to
Yeah.
be fair.
This is probably much more of a storeroom, like closet kind of.
Yeah, you can very much tell by looking at it. It is a mostly unused closet. So,
But
yeah.
Asha is gonna turn on 100% of her charm and say, "Thank you, Callan. This will be nice for us girls to have a little bit of privacy."
And he blushes, like, beet red, real fast, and, like, kind of, like, scratches the back of his head. You're not sure if he's blushing because of, like, you're being super sweet, or, like, the girl time idea of just super
Oh, God.
embarrassed.
The girl time where this one's heaving.
Yeah.
But he's
Super
like
girl time.
scratching the back of his head, like looking down. He's like, "It's no problem, ma'am. It's no problem. You let me know if you need anything else."
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You've been so helpful.
And it's and then like he turns and like slams into the wall and, like, and he like backs up and he's just like, and then he turns and like he runs off up the stairs. You do hear him start to trip as he goes up the stairs.
Asha, you better watch that charm. You might just give him a heart attack.
Well, it got you a room by yourself, right?
Hey, Frips.
Jaz'Zara is laughing. Once he's gone, she is laughing. And she's like, well, I guess we know who's going to have to talk to people from now on. Miss, turning on the charm. It's like, okay.
He's a
Full wattage.
child.
He's a child. Yeah, it's...
He's a child.
Why am I picturing Tom Holland?
Honestly, fair. That's valid. So, somebody who looks like they're 16 is not 16, but also looks like the most awkward human being on Earth is an accurate
But also
description.
is precious.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's just like, you sweet, sweet baby.
Pretty much. That's exactly what you got going on with this kid. So you guys have this room and everything, and Jaz'Zara will hang out like in the doorway as you guys go in, because it's a very small room. So like she'll hang out in the doorway and all that, and
I was thinking of making something kind of along the lines of like, do you know what the brat diet is? And I know it's technically for other stomach issues, but I feel like,
yeah. Well, you guys
rice
were given
and toast and kind of.
You guys were given some
Full carbs,
supplies.
Yeah.
Like by Elrose, like before you got on, like he handed you a couple bags of supplies, like a bag each of supplies, and you can open it. There's like some bread that's in it, some like cheese that's in it and stuff like that too. Some very and some other things that will last a little longer too. Like it's all very salted and not a luxury by any standards, but like.
Well, I think bland and carby will do quite well for this situation. So I'm gonna set to making the ingrate some bread, and I'm gonna cut her a few pieces of cheese, but I'm not gonna give her too many pieces of cheese because I don't know if that's really what she needs. But I'm gonna make her a little plate, and I'm gonna be like, do the best you can. I think it'll help.
Nom 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 nom.
I should have seen that coming.
And Asha just looks at Jazz like, did you see that?
And Jaz'Zara just kind of looks at you, and she's just like, for somebody who doesn't feel very good, it hasn't slowed her appetite any.
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Sure.
And this wheeze is just
I assume that effect is the sound that Valkaria is making as she nearly chokes as she shoves this bread down her throat.
Yeah. Now, if you throw that up, I'm not going to be happy.
Thank you.
Jaz'Zara just rolls her eyes. You do feel
I
a
feel
bit better. Like
Thank you.
you eat it, like the bread does settle your stomach a bit. You kind of like lean against the wall and you kind of like just hang out and just let it all
I was
like
going to
settle.
suggest
Val-
she go sit in the corner so she has two walls that are going to support
Val
her.
is gonna dig out her.
Bedroll.
Not yet. No, she just wants to pull out her blanket and her winter cloak and just kind of huddle in that corner.
Okay, that's cool. Jaz'Zara's gonna stay standing in the doorway for a hot minute. And
Also,
Asha
I want while she's huddled in the corner, I want her to just have her staff up and she's just holding on to it.
okay. And then you got your staff and your blankets and you're all covered. Like maybe like Asha like kind of helped you tuck the blankets around you a little better.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like leaning against the wall with your staff and everything. And Jaz'Zara's gonna.
She's purring. And I'll ask Jazz if she wants any food too, because she needs to keep her strength up, even though someone else is weaker.
Jaz'Zara will take a little bit of the cheese from you, and but not much because she's not super hungry at the moment. But she's gonna lean against the doorway. She's blocking the doorway, but she's got like her back to like one of the parts of the doorway, and so that she can see. But she can see down the hallway where somebody would come, and then like obviously she can see into the room with you guys. And like she pulls out the map that has the new map you guys were given of Wild Mount and stuff like that. And she starts studying it,
And she points out to you guys, she says, this is, she's like, I've seen old maps of Wild Mount before. She's like, I've never seen anything quite like this. There's a lot of cities. At least what I assume are city. Like, she's kind of like holding it so like the light hits it a little better, just so she can make sure what she's looking at is correct. And she's like, I never really expected it to have cities like this. She's like, I don't really know why, but she's just looking at it. She's like, it looks a lot different than the maps that we have from before the Calamity do. There's things missing, like not towns or cities, but like places, land masses. And there's like islands that are gone, mountains that don't look right. Like they're smaller somehow in some places, but mountains where there also wasn't any before. Like mountains just don't pop up like that.
Craters do.
She's like, that's true. But some of this looks strange, and so she kind of like crouches between. She'll leave the doorway and she'll crouch between the two of you, and she'll be like, there was more here. She's like, this is where we are, and she'll point up here to where it says the Crystal Lands Tundra, and she's like, but there used to be stuff. She's like, just over here by where she points where it says the Emerald Glock, and she's like, there was definitely land there before. And then she points over to the left of where it says Dwendalian Empire. And she says, there was things here too, but like some of these mountains are new. And she's like, I don't even know what Xhorhas is, or what some of this stuff is. Like these lakes weren't there before. She's like, this is a lot different than what we saw in the maps and things and the books that are kept at home. Like, I know those are old, like those are all pre-Calamity, but, and she kind of like holds the map up and like she turns it a little bit, and she's like, I wonder if the Calamity did all of this. If it did, it must have been awful. She's like, I don't know how there's anyone living here. She's like,
well,
but
when
there
gods go to war, I guess.
She's like, yeah, and the thing is like, it really, there's what looks like cities. And it's really kind of flabbergasting to her. She's like, it looks like there's cities, like real cities that are here. And some of them are huge looking, and then some of them are smaller, but she's like, I can't tell exactly what size they are because I don't really have anything to compare it to, because it's not like our cities on the map. But she's like, some of these places look really big, and that's kind of weird. Like, if I was to put it to a guess, I would say they looked bigger than where we're from. And that's surprising to you guys, because obviously, like, that you have a city of about 7,000 to 8,000 people, and like that's something much bigger.
We are very sheltered children.
Yeah.
Very sheltered.
But she points out, and she's like, and she points to one of the northern islands towards the area that you guys are going. But
Valkaria is going to weakly say from underneath her roll of blankets, just, adventure awaits.
Adventure. But she points to these islands that you guys are going to around Islecross and stuff like that, and she's like, I did notice something a bit particular and important to us. She says, we're going to the place called Serenia, and that's a different island than where I saw this. She says, but I noticed where that outpost was. The Drow outpost that they mentioned before. And she says, Serenia, I sent you guys a photo. She's like, Serenia is quite a bit of ways, but Vermos is supposed to be the Drow outpost, and it's over here to the east. Past something called the Tomb of the Worm, which...
I just saw those words, and I was not amused.
The Tomb of the Worm.
I really hope is not that dragon cult, but like I feel like that's probably where the dragon cult. But
well, hopefully we don't have to go anywhere near that. Hopefully all our answers are just in Serenlia, and we can...
Is that river just a river of flowing lava?
Yeah, I think it's the lava that the first mate mentioned, that it's just a giant river of fucking lava. And she, like, kind of looks closer. She's like, I wonder which one the dragons are on. Like, that's creepy. But it might not be a bad idea once we figure out, you know, how to help the girls. Because obviously that comes first. But once we figure out how to do that, maybe we go and talk to these people at this outpost. It could be... They might... If anybody's going to help us, it might be them.
Sure, worth a shot.
I mean, honestly, can't get much worse, right? She kind of laughs with, like, dry humor.
Don't you put that bad juju on us, Jazz.
She's like, yes, ma'am. And, but you guys, like, spend a little bit of time. Like, Jaz'Zara studies the map. Ash, is there anything specific you'd like to do?
Let's see. What do I have on? I think I'd like to... Because don't I have... I think I'm going to go through, like, some of my books again just to see...
Okay. Like, you can...
If I just catch anything. Because I know that, that Myth kind of already did go through it, but it's just, like... I think I'll just do it for entertainment.
Well, yeah, and you have to, like, read them, too, if you really want to know what's in them in detail. Because, like, he can give you a summary, but, like, they're very huge books, obviously.
Right. So, yeah, I think I'll just be kind of quietly reading while Val is quietly suffering.
And Jaz'Zara will study the map. And you guys are there for, like, maybe, like, a couple hours. And it starts to get later in the day and stuff like that. And this dwarf comes down, and it's a woman. And she's... she looks like she's about middle-aged, you know. Her beard has a couple different colors in it and stuff like that. And she kind of, like, leans down the stairs to, like, look down the hallway at y'all. And she says, hey, who's taking what watches? You guys don't just get a free ride here. You got to do your part.
Like me.
And Jaz'Zara will kind of look at Val, and she'll be like, I don't think this one's up for any kind of watches, but
we can. You and I can take a shift each.
Yeah, and she's like, we'll take shifts. We'll participate. And she says, cool. She looks at Jaz'Zara, and she says, you have second shift? And then she points at Asha and says, you have third shift. All right, the captain always takes the first watch, so make sure you keep yourselves together. And she goes back upstairs. You guys spend the rest of the evening kind of doing that. And Jaz'Zara eventually gets called for her shift, and she goes up onto the ship, and there's somebody like steering the. It's somebody you guys haven't, like, it's one of the other people you guys haven't seen before or talked to yet. But there's somebody steering the boat, and they gesture her up towards the front of the boat to keep watch. And he kind of looks at her and is like, you drow have good dark vision, right? She's just kind of like, she doesn't even turn around to look at him. She's like, yep. And he's like, good. Y'all will be useful. I hear y'all from the Underdark. She says, yep. And he's like, good. She'll be able to see in the dark real good. And he points her up to the front of the ship, and she just kind of leans she kind of leans at the front of the boat and kind of, like, just looks out, and she will make a perception check for the evening, which overall is not bad. And it is. She gets a 19, and she doesn't really see anything. Like, there isn't really anything going on. It's pretty dark, all things considered, but she doesn't really have any issues seeing. It's very dark, like, very, very dark. But there's a ridiculous amount of stars in the sky, and so, like, it does kind of, like, provide some kind of lighting to see by. And you know, her shift goes smoothly if it's a little cold because it's very windy, and it's a little weird being out in the middle of just all of this darkness because there is nothing in, like, any direction that you guys can see. But her shift ends, and the person that's steering the boat also switches shifts with somebody else. And she goes down to switch with you, Asha. Mm-hmm. And you go up, and she tells you where she was. Jaz'Zara tells you, like, where she was hanging out at the front of the boat and all that. Mm-hmm. So you can go take your place up there, and somebody else goes to take their place up at the wheel. It is the female dwarf that you had seen earlier. So that had told you guys you had to take shifts. So roll me a perception check, please.
We got a 8.
An 8? Alright.
Yeah.
So you're...
She's a little tired, y'all.
That's fair. You're leaning against the front of this boat, you know, and like the wind is a little bracing, and you kind of like think you hear something. You're not really sure what it is. It goes away, like it was something on the wind, and it goes away. And you're leaning there. A little while later, maybe like 20 minutes, you think you hear something again. You're not really sure what it is. It almost sounds like a voice, but there's nothing that you really coalesces into anything.
Mm-hmm.
It goes away. And as you're just leaning
She's mostly
against
just
there,
cold.
yeah, you're kind of like looking out. It's really dark, you know. You could still see the moons are in the sky. You know, you might spend some time looking at both of the moons. And,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. She's just in the zone, looking up at the stars and the moon. And
yeah,
kind of just focused on that. I think more than the watch, I guess, you know.
And like it's nice just to get a chance to like look at the stars and like look around and all that, and look at the moons, and because it's still like a novel thing, just getting to see Katha whenever you want, and Ruidus is still a little strange to you, this red unknown moon, and you know, you just kind of look and you hear that sound again, and this time you're almost certain it's a voice, but it doesn't sound like it's saying words. And as you start to focus on it, it sounds more like music almost, like just faint trickling of notes. But again, it's not a language, and you couldn't even positively say they were words, but it's just almost like this musical sound, and it comes,
the vocalization.
Yeah, it like comes to you on the wind, and then it just disappears. And as you start listening for it, now that you've had like this better moment of hearing it, you hear it again, and it's a little longer this time, and it's beautiful sounding, but it's strange too, because it's just not something you recognize, and you start focusing on it, and as you focus on it, roll me a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving. Okay, we got 14.
Okay, you start listening to this sound, whatever it is, and you realize it's not coming from like in front of you. As you focus on it, like it kind of seems like it's coming from the side a little to your right, and so it makes you want to move that way a little. It's like trying to get a better hearing of it.
Yeah
And it just kind of draws you to it, and you kind of lean against the edge of the ship, and you're focusing on this sound, and it's beautiful, and now you're hearing it more regularly, and it's starting to get louder sounding, and it's beautiful, and it's just such an interesting melody, like nothing you've ever heard, and it's drawing you to it, and without realizing it, you're leaning further and further on the edge of this boat, and you're leaning towards it. It's kind of like pulling you into it, and all of a sudden, this hand just slams hard on your between your shoulder blades, and it kind of jerks you.
Yeah.
And somebody grabs the back of your shirt and pulls you back, so you are more firmly on this boat. And it's the dwarf who was steering the boat, and she looks at you and she says, "It's best not to listen to the music on the wind, dear. You never know what'll pull you into the sea."
And Asha is just in complete and total shock. She's just like, how did I let that happen?
And she sees like the look on your face, and she says, "There's more things than fish in seas, dear. Things that'll tempt you in it if you're not careful." And like she kind of looks down, and you look down, and you see like this shape in the water just kind of swim off. It was this large black shape that just kind of shifted off in the night. And she said, and she kind of like taps your shoulder, and she says, "Go wake the next watch, dear. I think it's time you went to bed."
And I will do that with a very sober, a very sober approach.
It's not like Asha was almost pulled into the sea or anything.
No, you missed the siren song coming to claim me.
I had a feeling it was a siren thing.
I don't know what was singing, but the other than the wind.
All right.
So you go back down, and it's one of the other. It's the young man, the half elf, that his next watch, and you wake him as you walk, trying really just hard not to linger there. In all honesty, and
Not to linger, yeah.
you know, and so you wake him for his watch, and he goes up.
Oh no!
And-
Now I'm waking him from a dead sleep. This poor child. This poor
Well,
child.
it's his turn to take watch. So
No, I know, but I mean, we're already like at embarrassment, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
This
He's
poor
very-
baby.
He's very stumbly as he goes past you and everything, and you go into
Stumbly.
the room that's set aside for you, and you guys go to bed for the evening, and the rest of your evening is fairly uneventful. And you guys wake up in the morning. There's a bunch of
Wait, I want to do something, hopefully, before we wake up.
Okay.
So,
She wants to do it in her sleep.
before we go to bed. Alright, so, while Asha is up, almost dying,
Okay.
I'm assuming Jazz is back in the room with Val.
Yeah, she's asleep.
Okay, Val wakes up.
Okay.
Well, before she wakes up, I have a question. At this point, does Val know that she can cast Hallows Eve, that shadow vortex?
You haven't done it yet, but you are aware that there's innate magic in it. Yes.
Okay, so if I can do this, so Val wakes up while Jazz is still sleeping, and she has this like feeling.
Uh huh.
So she looks in her bag and she brings out the crystal, right?
Okay.
And she's just staring at it. Just staring at it.
Okay.
Kind of starts poking at it with her staff, like.
Okay.
And I feel like I want to say like as she's like mindlessly like poking at it,
Mm-hmm.
a shadow vortex appears and then quickly disappears, and she goes, "The fuck was that?"
So you're kind of like messing with the crystal. You can tell it has magic in it, and like you start to try and pull maybe this magic from it, and the magic of your staff hitting like this magical crystal, this shadow kind of like the shadows in the room kind of start to pull from their places in the corners on the ceiling, and they start to merge together like in the center of this room near your crystal, and they start to kind of like coalesce and just kind of build into this shadowy ball. And you see tendrils start to come out from it, and just as they start to form, like you kind of jerk your staff back and they vanish. So you didn't fully
Good.
perform the spell, but you
But I
did
know
activate-
something's there.
Yeah, and you can perform the spell if you would like to try it and like fully perform the spell. You can go for it.
Yeah, she wants to, because Val is very intrigued right now.
All right, so you cast this shadow spell.
So
of yours?
so I'm assuming the way that Val is going to summon this magic,
Mhm.
it's not going to be useful constantly poking at it with her stick. So she's going to pick it up
Okay.
and stare at it
Okay.
and kind of sort of, I guess, will it to show her what it does.
Okay. So you focus on it, and you take a moment, and you concentrate your innate knowledge of magic on it, and you're able to sense magic in some ways, and you focus all of it inward on yourself and on this crystal in your hands, and you feel the same magic you had just felt of the shadow starting to coalesce, and it starts to form in what almost looks like this giant, like withering ball. To give you a more accurate visual, the Obscurus from the Fantastic Beasts. There you go. Like it looks like that, but these shadowy like tendrils start to like bleed out of it, and they almost wisp like smoke as they come out. And you can tell that you could take these tendrils and you could wrap somebody up in it. As you do that, I sent you the link for the D100, and I want you to roll that for me, please. Or like activate it, and you'll just put in there 1 dice, 100 sided, and then you'll hit start and then stop to make it roll.
6.
6. Delightful. Oh, it's good. It's real good. Okay, 6.
Great.
I'm about to introduce you to what is called the Wild Magic Surge Table. and everything on the islands of ice will cross, and in the immediate area, every time you cast any kind of magic, whether it's a leveled spell or an ability, you have to roll a d100, and an effect will take place either immediately after or in the moments after that comes from this table. There are 50 items, so like there's like one, if you roll a 1 or a 2, it's the same thing. Two, like a 3 and a 4, it's the same thing, and stuff like that.
Okay.
So every time you do magic, basically, one of these effects will take place, and whatever the effect is dependent upon the roll and whatever it says. This is the table that when I wrote it, my mom said, I thought you liked these people.
We finally get to that point. Okay.
So you've rolled a 6. So you sit there, and you can feel this really strong magic, and like it works, you know, like you could feel it crawling, and you could like control where these tendrils go, and at that same moment, just as you know you have full control over it, bam, Valkaria turns into a potted plant, and you will be a potted plant for the next 30 minutes.
Oh my god.
Can I move as a potted plant?
No, you are a plant. You are a fucking potted plant. And it is about.
Please tell me that Jazz wakes up, like there's a sound and she hears it.
I'll roll perception for Jaz'Zara because it's a very silent little pop. No, that's a 2 for Jazz. She doesn't hear shit. It lasts for 30 minutes, and at about the 29, you can't do anything. You are a plant.
No, that's fine. I don't have to do anything. How long are these shifts?
Yeah,
They're a couple hours, like each.
Okay, never mind. How far into Asha's shift do I do this?
Let's get to that.
Oh boy.
Asha, your shift is over. You're very shaken. You wake up the kid for his watch. You walk into the room. Jaz'Zara's laying there just as you left her and all that. And
there's a potted plant.
Where Valkaria should be is a potted plant. It's like this little like terracotta little pot, and it's got like these little like purple
Can it be the cactus from Twilight?
Sure. It is a purple and black version of the cactus from Twilight. And you're staring at it, and you're really just looking at it, and you're staring at it, it pops back into Valkaria. And Valkaria, you're like, because it had happened about 30 minutes before the end of her shift.
And I will stagger back into the wall. Terrified. Because my friend has just traded places with this plant. What the fuck? What did you do?
I was playing with magic.
And it's
and then,
right.
I have a question. I do have a question.
Sure.
Did what she did have anything to do with what happened to me up top?
No.
On deck? No?
No.
Okay.
It is nobody's explained this to you guys yet, and you'll have to ask, but it is a effect of the geographical area that you guys are in. So you have no idea why it did that, what causes it, what happened. Just for a moment, Valkaria, for an amount of time Valkaria is not even sure of, you were a plant. So,
Was I aware of my surroundings?
Nope. You were a plant. You assume, like, you know something happened to you.
So I have no memory of this happening. It's just, okay.
You are aware you cast this spell. You felt an external magical source come over you. And something happened. You know something happened. It happened.
But I don't know what.
And then it stopped, and now you're just sitting here, and you have no concept of how long it's been, what it was that happened, what was going on. You are aware that something happened. And right as you start to raise these questions, curiosities, fears...
Well, first, I think this is necessary. Asha is looking dead at you. Eyes as big as saucers. Just freaked the fuck out. Because, you don't know what happened to her up there. So her freak is here.
Yep.
And she just goes, "You were a plant!"
What?
And it's at that point you hear the klaxon of bells ringing up on the top of the ship. And you hear these warning bells start going off, and you hear somebody shout down the stairs at the rest of the crew, incoming! Incoming! Everybody on deck! And Jaz'Zara immediately sits up, and she's like, what happened? And then she's already grabbing her stuff.
That was a plant.
Jaz'Zara pauses as she heads to the door, like, what did you get? Looks at Asha, what did you give her? And, like, grabs Valkaria, who's sitting on the floor. Like, Jazz will reach over, grab Valkaria, who's sitting on the floor, pull her to her feet, and shove both of you down the hallway up towards the top of the deck. And
lots of stumbling ensues.
oh yeah, you
Was
guys,
I?
you were a succulent. You were like a little
No,
cactus.
I know, but Val is asking
No, I know.
Asha Walt, so there's something up.
Little, because I don't think they have cacti.
No.
Do they? A little round, spiky thing. And then you were you.
Cool.
And Jaz'Zara's like, we're gonna get back to that. Just go. And you guys all stumble out onto the deck together. Jaz'Zara does make sure she goes first. So like you guys get to the door.
Because clearly neither of us are.
Yeah. Like you guys
We're not
like
ready for this.
get to the door. The door's thrown open, but she like pulls you guys back and she steps out front. And as you guys step out onto this deck of this boat, you can see surrounding this boat, flying in the air, is 4 winged female creatures. They have like creepy long bird-like feet with talons on the end of it. They have long like feathered wings. They have faces that look really human except for where the mouth and nose are, that come to this very sharp point. At the end of their wings, there are these like clawed hands that are very spindly and have long talons on the end of them. And they're screeching this ungodly loud noise. And you can see there's the crew is like drawn weapons and they're ready to fight. And the captain and the first mate are up towards the front of the boat. Those would be the 2 people that are here. The darker one is the captain. The lighter one is the first mate. And they're both dealing with their own harpies. And then the rest of the crew is kind of scattered around. There's 2 up on the upper level. And between where the stairs are for the upper level there's a harpy on each side. So one for each set of stairs. You see some of them, like the crew are armed with like crossbows, and some of them have swords. One of them just has a large piece of wood that he's wielding. And the first mate has a bow and a sword, and the captain has his own like giant axe that he's got with him. And the 3 of the harpies look pretty similar, but there's one that has this very bright red plumage to her, and she is the one over here fighting with the captain, and she looks much scarier than the other ones too.
Where?
The one that is right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So this here is the captain. You guys come out onto the deck of the ship, and I'm gonna have everybody roll me initiative.
I have a very bad idea of what I want to try.
Oh no.
Can't say you're not surprised.
No.
What was Asha's?
11.
11. And Valkaria?
9.
9. Gotcha. Alright. So these giant... they're a little bigger than what a normal, like, sized person would be. They're a little taller than all of you. They've got huge wingspans and stuff like that. They're screeching at the top of their lungs, and you can see them start to, like, swoop down and like take a claw attack at one, like at some of the crew, and like they're trying to like fight them off and everything like that. All right, at the top of the initiative order with the 20 is the Queen Harpy herself. So the Queen Harpy, she screeches really loudly, and but first of all, before I do that, do you guys have a preference of where you want to be? I will let you move. Like I have Valkaria, you're kind of like up in the like near the mast, with the mast between you and like the Queen Harpy, and then Asha, I have you to like the left of the like the opening to go down into the middle of the deck, and then Jaz'Zara I've got standing like in that doorway. So
I'm fine.
How did we get past you?
Because she shoved us out
that's
first,
fair.
remember?
Yeah,
I thought she
Jaz'Zara
shoved past us to get out first.
Yeah,
so that was...
Jaz'Zara stepped out first. But if you guys wanted to like have walked past her, then that's fine, because I'm going to move Jaz'Zara here in a minute. So, is there anywhere else you would like to be? Like, do you want to be closer to the door, or?
No,
I'm fine.
I'm fine where I am, because there's a harpy hanging off to the left side of the boat, right?
Yeah. Well, there's two technically behind you flying just above each set of stairs, and they're all flying. And then there's two towards the front of the boat, both flying. You're a little closer to the one by the stairs that's like behind and to the left of you. But none of them are super far, except for the one very diagonal from you. Like this one over here is the furthest one from you. So.
Yeah. No, I think I'm good where I am.
Okay. Jaz'Zara is going to kind of like the grate is on top of the hole that goes into the hold, so she's going to jump up on top of that because it's slightly elevated by about 6 inches up, so she's going to jump on top of that. And so you've got these giant freaky ass creatures, and the Harpy Queen, she's got this very beautiful red plumage, and she screeches at you, and she is going to take she's going to take a 2 claw attacks at the captain. And she hits the captain the first time, but not the second time. And she's going to do 7 points of damage to the captain. And you can see she takes her claw and she swipes at that captain hard, and he stumbles back. And he does not look great after that.
Great.
Yeah. And it's his turn, and he's going to turn, and he's going to take a swing at her. It's hard for him because she's in the air, so he kind of like has to get a little bit of like a jump to him as he does it. And he's gonna roll at her, and he hits her, which is good. So for everybody involved, that's really good. And he does 1d8.
Our captain will not go out easy.
He doesn't do a lot of damage, though. I gotta say, he does 4 whole points of damage.
An attempt was made, but he is only 3.5 feet.
I mean,
that's fair. Then we go on to Jaz'Zara, and Jaz'Zara, she's like, fucking hell, what the hell are these things? And
make them shut up!
And there's just so much screeching. And Jaz'Zara, not knowing about the weird magic-y stuff that's going on, is going to cast Hunter's Mark. She's going to aim for the Queen Harpy. And she's going to cast Hunter's Mark, which it does work. However, I now have to roll a D100. Okie dokie. Got an effect here. Okay, I rolled a 75. And out of absolutely nowhere, a snowball forms and slams Jaz'Zara directly in the face. Snow just kind of like goes down her face. She's like, the fuck was that? And like there is like it just formed out of pure thin air and just smacked her right in the face, and that is the effect that she had. And she's just like absolutely stunned and totally confused, and she's just like, okay.
Val is going to turn her head to see what the hell just happened to Jazz, and then look at Asha and go, cactus!
Plant! Truly, in a series of things that don't make any fucking sense, Jaz'Zara is going to take some shots. It's the first round of combat, so she gets 2 shots, and she's going to take them at this Harpy Queen, who's...
Asha is still convinced that this is all Val's fault.
Valid. That's a valid assumption, to be fair.
She does have a very different experience of what happened in the last, 45 minutes, so,
Yeah, that's fair.
So all of this, in her mind, is related to whatever the fuck happened to you.
Yeah.
She doesn't know for sure, but she has a sense.
That's fair. That is very fair.
And because she has to focus on horrible flying things, she's not really giving it a lot of, critical thought. Yeah.
That's valid, to be fair. There's a series of strange events have just happened to you guys, and you're just like, okay. Jaz'Zara hits both times for a grand total because she took the new sharpshooter feat. So if she takes a -5 to hit, she will get a +10 for damage, which means since she hit both times, she got a whopping 31 points of damage in. And
Nice.
the wonders of trying to make a ranger a tank is happening here. So she does significant damage to this harpy. Like, she aims and she hits it, like, in the joints of where its wings are both times. It screeches and it, like, turns to look at her. And it just lets out this horrid noise. This horrible sounding screeching noise. And Asha, you are up.
Okay. Obviously, like, you know, there hasn't been enough to figure out the pattern. So Asha is most definitely going to try some magic because she doesn't want to get any closer to these damn things.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna go with Sacred Flame.
Sacred Flame. Okay.
We're gonna start there.
Okay.
And then, can you roll me the demon? Oh, I guess I'm sorry.
So you're gonna, which one are you going to try and hit? You've got the one just behind you.
I think the one I'm closest to.
Okay.
She seems like a problem.
That one will have to make a dexterity saving throw of 13. It does. And unfortunately, because it's a cantrip, it doesn't actually do any damage for it. So.
Okay.
Yeah, anything else you'd like to do? Any,
let's see. Then I'm going to, you know what? She's still a little shaken, so she's gonna try it again. Could you try it again, or not on this turn?
No, you only have one action. You can do a bonus action if you want. You have 3 spells. You have Shield of Faith, Sanctuary, and Healing Word as your bonus actions. So that's up to you.
What does Shield of Faith do again? I forgot.
Shield of Faith gives anybody within your range of 60 feet a +2 to their AC.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that because it feels like everybody could use a little help right now.
Okay, you can pick one person to affect.
Jazz.
Jazz? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So Jazz's current
For
armor
full
class.
tankiness.
Yeah. So Jazz's current armor class is going to be a 16, which is awesome.
I do have a question.
Sure.
So this magic system with the D100 doesn't affect cantrips, or it just would be just spells, or
It for the most part will be just leveled spells, unless you
Okay.
guys are doing something particularly stupid. Then I'll make it affect anything. So.
Okay.
So you did do a leveled spell, so you will have to give me a number.
Okay. So yes, I'll do that now too.
Sure. And then the next harpy will be up. So.
35.
35.
Yeah, that does not respond.
Not on this.
You cast
sure.
Water Walk on yourself, which allows you to walk on both water and snow. So you feel a magical effect take over you. You get the feeling like you can walk on water, maybe not really want to use it, but like that has happened to you now. So
It's kind of like the opposite of when you get rabies.
yeah,
Because there's hydrophobia, you know, and then now
anti-rabies. Sure.
I have the strange desire to walk on water.
Which, to be fair,
And I'm like,
if you're taken and dropped in the ocean at any point, you know, it might not be a bad thing.
Walk on it.
How long will that last?
I believe Water Walk lasts for an hour. So you've got that for an
We're
hour.
set. Okay, cool.
So,
I will keep this in mind for when I inevitably get dropped off into the drink.
and on that note, it's one of the harpies' turn. It's the one directly across from the Queen Harpy. Yeah, and she's over there engaging in combat with the first mate. And this harpy is going to try and grab the first mate in a contested strength roll. Yep, she swoops down this harpy, and with her talons, she grabs the first mate underneath the arms and starts lifting her into the air. They're only about 5 feet up off the deck at this point, but they are in the air. It is the first mate's turn, and she's going to take out her short sword, and she's going to try and stab this harpy that has her. She does miss. Like, she tries to, like, swing it up, and, like, the harpy, like, jerks itself around so that nothing really happens, and, you hear the first mate yell something very unsavory in Elven. So. And
I can't think of a more appropriate time.
And this harpy just screeches down at her, and it's just deafening. Your ears ring after every time they scream. And Val, that's you.
So Val, as all this is happening, is still like
Seasick.
forget that she's seasick. She's too hyped up on what the hell she just did with this crystal to even notice that she's seasick.
Okay.
An improvement.
So Val is just watching the chaos unfold, and she goes, "Okay." Like, she's now talking to the crystal. She's like, "All right, come on, let's try it again. Don't turn me into a plant.
And you're gonna try
Go
to cast
shadows.
Hallow's Nightmare one more time? Okay.
Yes. Go
So
shadows."
That's a bonus action, and where do you want it to appear?
I want it to appear at the harpy that's holding the first mate.
Okay. So you cast this Hallow's Nightmare at it, and you see this vortex of shadow like start to coalesce around, and this gigantic like ball of tendrils and mass and smoke like slowly creeps up and around the harpy and like attaches to her wings and kind of like holds her in place. Let's see. Roll me 1d8 plus 1 for damage, because you don't have to roll to hit. This just hits.
4.
4. Okay. And you see this like these smoky tendrils kind of like jam into the to the harpy, and you see the harpy like kind of screeches, but it doesn't seem to do like a whole lot of damage to it. But it does like kind of, it is there, just kind of like holding on to her a little bit. It slows her down. It doesn't prevent her from, like, if she wanted to leave, she could, but it will slow her down in the process. So, but she doesn't drop the first mate. What else would you like to do?
What can I do?
Well, you can do a regular spell, because that was a bonus action, and it was an ability. So you can still do an action that is a regular spell, or like a cantrip, or a leveled spell if you'd like.
I mean, she could just run and
Hit him?
yeah.
Yeah, you could do that too. It's up to you.
Okay, so, I have the running, quote unquote. And Val is going to try to run, most likely shuffle her way towards the one that she just has the shadows with,
Okay.
shadows on, and throw Ice Knife.
Okay, I'm gonna get a little closer. Alright, go ahead and cast Ice Knife. Are you doing it at first level or second level?
Ooh, good question.
And note that when Ice Knife explodes, you will hit the first mate.
Screw it, we'll risk it.
Alright, so you're gonna cast it?
Yeah, I'm gonna cast
So-
Ice Knife at that harpy.
Roll me a d20 plus 5.
20.
Natural 20?
No, 15 plus 5.
Okay. So you hit the harpy with your Ice Knife, and you can roll me a d10 for damage.
7.
7? Okay, so 7 points of damage. The first mate and both the harpy and the first mate fail, so you're going to roll me 2d6 worth of damage.
4.
4 in total?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you, and the first mate. So the first mate takes damage, and some of the ice that explodes out of this ice knife. You throw the ice knife, it sticks into the harpy, it explodes outward. Some of the littler shards hit the first mate in the shoulder, and the harpy itself kind of, it takes damage, and you can see like it's starting to bleed and everything like that, and it just lets out this horrid screech. And the next time the captain or the first mate tries to get out, she'll have advantage because the harpy's been injured. Yeah, but it does still have a hold of her, and they're about 5 feet in the air. You can see you've done definite damage to the harpy, but it is definitely still standing.
Yeah. Now, did I have to roll a D100 too?
Yep.
Yeah, I got 94.
94. That's a high one. You are suddenly overcome with the deep desire to hug someone, and you're not going to go until they hug you back.
Captain right there.
And to be fair, the first mate is in the air, so you can't technically reach her like all that easily. So, Val, you immediately just turn, look at the captain, and just wrap your arms around him like from behind in this big old bear hug, and you don't let go unless he hugs you back. And he starts screaming at you, "What in tarnation are you doing, girl? Get your ass back in this fight. We're all gonna die, and you're over here hugging people like a scared toddler."
And did I understand correctly now that she's hugged somebody that nonsense will wear off? Or
No, somebody has to hug her, like the person she's hugging has to hug her back.
Oh.
So I'm attached to this captain until he hugs me back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, on that note, it is the turn of the two harpies on the stairs. And one of them is going to go...
Do I know that this person has to hug me back for this to wear off, or no?
You kind of get the feeling that, like, one half of whatever that has happened to you has taken effect, and that something else needs to happen for this to stop.
There's probably, like, a compulsion that's like, just hug me!
Yeah. So I'm going to say that while the captain's screaming.
Okay.
As I'm, just...
Hug me! And he just
hug me!
Yeah, and if he... we'll find out on his turn whether or not he hugs you, but until then, you are attached to this man.
Sorry, Captain.
These harpies roll pretty well. One of them's going to go after you, Asha, and the other one's going to go after that kid, because the one right next to Jaz'Zara is the kid. And they're going to take 2 swipe attacks at both of you. Well, they hit the first time. So, in fact, let me roll
2
this.
each, or 1 and 1?
You are going to get 2 attacks each. The kid's going to get 1, because the harpy missed the second time. And so that is... That's 6 points of damage to you, Asha. And that'll be 1 whole point to the kid.
Okay.
Alrighty. And they screech at you, and this one harpy now is pretty much just all up in your space now. Like, this one has moved just to kind of, like, engage with you at this point. And the other one's kind of turned to face the kid. There we go. And it's the crew. Technically, the crew goes on 2 different initiatives, but they rolled very poorly. It's the other 2 sets of... Or the other 4 crew members. And I will have them roll to see if they hit any of the harpies. Because they're going to focus on the one by you, Asha, and then the one that the kid is facing, and all 4 of them are going to try and attack. One of them absolutely misses, one of them rolls a natural 20, and the other 2 do hit. So, that's good. That means I need the one going after the kid is the one who got the natural 20, and another one that hit, and then the other one, yeah. So the one going after the kid takes a shit ton of damage. And you see one of the crew takes out this crossbow, and it fires it at the harpy, and then immediately launches a second one. And when the crossbow bolt hits, the second crossbow bolt hits that crossbow bolt and shoves both of the crossbow bolts through this harpy. And then
damn, that's talent.
Yeah, and then this female dwarf, the one that had given you guys things to do, she runs up and she takes a sword and like she slashes at the harpy from behind, and the harpy screeches, and it's still flying, but it's now like it's having a hard time staying up with the way that its wing has just gotten kind of a little wonky. And it's screeching, and it has now turned its focus directly on these crew that's surrounding it. And the crew member with the giant plank of wood comes up behind the one that you're fighting, Asha, and just like hits it and bats the harpy a little forward. And it doesn't seem to pay it much mind. It takes some damage, but it doesn't seem to pay it a whole lot of mind. And but he tried, so he does some damage. He tried. We're back around to the Queen Harpy's turn, and she looks at you, the pair of this dwarf and tiefling combination. And she's going to focus on Val, and she is going to try and she's going to try and kick your ass.
Because this one is
Val.
stupid and really should not be allowed to live.
And she is going to hit you both times, dearie. And you're going to take 11 points of damage.
That's... Oh, ow.
And she screeches at you, and she's right up in your guys' face at this point, and you still hold on to this captain.
Captain, please hug me. Please hug me. I want to run away.
And I'm going to roll an intelligence check to see if he understands this is a magical effect or you just being weird. So...
Captain, I don't want to be here. Please, just hug me!
Oh, he gets a 5. He has no fucking clue what you're doing.
God damn it, Captain!
And he's trying to, like, shove you off of him, and you are just monkey gripped on this man. He's just like, the
Hold
fuck?
on, spider monkey.
And as horrifying as that thought is, you are still, like, he's just trying to fight with you, and, like, holding...
Stop fighting, please, just hug me, and I will leave.
He just looks at you like, you need to get it together or we're all going to die, girl.
Hug me, damn it!
It's just like, you are a child, grow up! And he's gonna take a swing
I will show you what a child can do if you will just fucking hug me, you pest!
And he has to swing at disadvantage because you are holding on to him the way you are. And he rolls a 4, so his swing at the Harpy Queen does miss. And...
Captain,
yeah.
I can't help it!
It's Jaz'Zara's turn now. Because Captain can't do anything else. You're just holding on to him. It's just the way it is. And so Jaz'Zara is ignoring all of the shit that's happening with you. And she's going to take another shot at the Harpy Queen. Unfortunately, she does miss. So she goes to take a shot, and like the Harpy Queen jerks back at and hisses, but has her focus directly on the two of you. And she, let's see, Jaz'Zara has any bonus action spells. Yeah, she just has to keep going. So, unfortunately, Jaz'Zara, her shot at the Harpy Queen did miss. And Asha, you are up, my dear.
All right, so let's see what Asha is very suspicious of the magic because she's still trying to figure out why the fuck she feels like walking on water. So she's not sure about any of that right now. Mm-hmm. So she's made the decision to definitely move to a more traditional weapon.
Okay.
So, and she wants this thing to get the fuck away from her.
Okay.
So she's gonna take out her whip and start smacking it.
Okay.
Whatcha?
I am aiming most definitely for that hideous fucking face and the noise hole.
All right. Roll me a d20 plus 3.
D20 plus what?
3.
3.
Noise
19.
hole. You do hit. I'm assuming you're hitting the harpy directly in front of you.
Yes. We don't want that bitch.
1d4 plus 1 for your damage.
Oh, come on. Come on, you little pyramid thinking. Ow. Oh. 3 plus 1 is 4.
All right. So you take your whip and you slash at it, and it kind of like cuts across the harpy's face, and it screeches at you. And this harpy,
effectively not doing what I wanted it to do, but if it backs up, that's good. That's a good start.
yeah. It kind of like it screeches at you, and whether or not it moves, that'll happen on its turn. Anything else you'd like to do, my dear?
I just no, I think that's kind of good for now.
Okay.
Maybe take a half step back to get away from it. Like just
if you take a step back because you are in immediate range of it, it will get an opportunity attack against you.
Oh, then never mind. We won't do that.
Okay. It is the harpy holding the first mate's turn now. That one is going to fly up like another 10 feet and drop the first mate into the ocean. So the first mate is now currently in the ocean, and you don't see her and you don't know what's happening. And then it's going to take the rest of its movements, and it's going to kind of swoop in on the other side of Valkaria and the captain.
Great.
I like how they rotate.
And it drops it. Yeah, it still has its attack because all it did was drop and move. So it is going to take attacks against one against Valkaria and one against the captain. And it'll take 2 claw attacks, one at each of you. So those are really good. The one against the captain is going to be, he takes 5 points of damage, and he looks pretty fucked. Like, he looks real fucked. And then Val, it did get a natural 20 when it went after you. So it does double the damage of usual.
So I'm already out because I was already at 9 points.
Well, you don't know how much damage they do, so hang on. It does 8 points of damage to you.
I have 1 hit point left.
You have 1 hit point left, my dear. And next up is the first mate. You don't know what's happening with her. Yep. So you don't know what's going on with the first mate. It is now your turn, Valkaria.
Okay, well, I'm in severe pain.
You are.
Two questions. How heavy is my staff and how much weight can my tail support?
Your tail could hold the staff, but not do anything very coordinated with it. Like, it could, like, hold it up, but it doesn't have the, your staff's solid wood. It's pretty heavy, all things considered. And you could drag it along with your tail and maybe lift it a little, but, you couldn't do anything coordinated with it.
Okay, hang on. So Val is going to do Hellish Rebuke to the
Okay.
harpy that scratched her.
Okay, good for you. So that you can do as soon as like the harpy attacks you, because that's a reaction that you have.
Yeah.
So this is not a spell that's happening on your turn. So
Right.
when you have your turn, that is you can still do whatever you want. So you are going to do. The creature must make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. So I will roll that for them. Doesn't get a bonus. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna roll 2d10 fire damage.
Is 0 10 or is it 0?
That should be the 10.
So 11.
11 points of damage. Okay. You turn, and as this harpy like really just launches and latches its claws into you, fire just, you feel your body growing really hot, and just fire bursts out of you in like this burst of hellfire and flame, and just singes this harpy, and it jerks back, and you can see that it's like its feathers are really starting just to catch fire, and it burns and it screeches and it flings itself backwards, and as it does, it falls off the edge of the ship and it's gone.
Is it dead?
One harpy, yeah, it's dead.
Yeah! Alright, so I'm also going to do, what was the other one I wanted to do? Cast Burning Hands on the one that
Okay.
that is against me and the captain.
Okay, so you, I'm assuming, reach past the captain as you do this. Like, you kind of like put your,
Yeah.
You're still holding on to him, but you reach your hand
Yep.
out and cast Burning Hands directly in front of it. It has to make a dexterity saving throw. It fails, so you can go ahead and do 3d6 worth of damage, and you can burst this.
3d6. Alright. 14.
14, alright. The Harpy Queen is still standing, but she looks pretty fucked. Like, she looks pretty fucked and really pissed.
That took a lot out of Val, so she's just gonna, like, limply hang onto the
Yeah.
captain as
Yeah,
she
like
still needs
you're
to
kind of
hug
like,
back for me to go away.
you were kind of like leaning over to like hug him, but you kind of like go on one knee now and are more even with where he is at that point.
Yeah.
And now it is the two harpies that are around Jazz and Val.
Another question.
or-
How often can I cast Hallows Eve?
Once per long rest, so you can't do it again.
Okay.
Sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the one is going to go after Asha, and the other one is going to go after Jaz'Zara this time. The one that goes after Asha misses. The one that goes after Jaz'Zara hits. And hits her for 3 whole points of damage. It didn't do very much. I rolled really low. Okay. And that's the first attacks. Their second attacks, they're going to try again. This time it doesn't reverse. It hits Asha and not Jazz. So Asha, that is 3 points of damage to you.
Okay.
Okay. Then it's the crew, and I will have all of the crew attack. Ooh, 1 natural 1, a 7, a 4, a 19. Only the kid manages to hit, and he takes that. he takes his sword and he like runs up the stairs and he jumps and he takes a wide slash at this harpy, and
Go Calhen.
yeah, he manages to do 4 whole points of damage to it. So go him. And but he's the only one. Like, one of the crew tried to launch a crossbow and the other one tried to get close with the sword, but like the wings of the harpy were beating outwards and kind of like knocked one of them back. And the one who has the board took another swing at it, and just the harpy moved up a little bit so that it swung right past it. Almost like swiped you in the face with the board, by the way, Asha, but just barely misses both of you, both the harpy and you in the process.
Limbo champion.
Now, now it is the Harpy Queen's turn. She is pissed.
Yeah, she's pissed.
She is really fucking pissed. And she's going to go after you, Val.
Of course she is.
She's going to take 2 attacks. That is a 4 and an 18. She does hit you.
I'm out.
Yep, she does.
Val is unconscious.
5 points of damage to you, and Val is officially down. Now, what's going to happen is on your turn, you're going to roll your first death saving throw. You have to get 3 positives. Doesn't have to be in a row. You just have to get 3 positives, which is a 10 and above on a d20, for you to stabilize. If you get 3 negatives first before you get 3 positives, you permanently die. Anybody can heal you if they have a healing spell, or a person can make a medicine check to try and stabilize you in the process. But
Can someone do that before her turn?
if their turn is before hers,
Okay.
so you will have to get to Valkaria first to do the spell, or to do a medicine check for her. If you cast the healing spell on her, you would get her hit points, and that would bring her back up and into the fight again. But if you just stabilize her, then she's just unconscious laying on the deck. So.
Okay.
Okay. That is the Harpy Queen's turn. The captain is going to take a swing at disadvantage with this. You go unconscious, so that hugging thing it ends.
Gone.
So you fall. So he takes a regular attack, and he hits the Harpy Queen. He does. Good going, captain. So he takes his little d8 for 4 whole points of damage to the Harpy Queen. And she's barely hanging on. She's not hanging on by much, but she is. So he does 4 whole points of damage to her. Now but they are still standing. And the Harpy Queen kind of like tries to back away from him a bit, and as she screeches, but he and her are pretty even. They both look pretty bad. He looks a little better than she does, but he's kind of squared up with her at this point. You don't know what's happening with the first mate. It is Jaz'Zara's turn next. So Jaz'Zara is about 15 to 20-ish feet from Valkaria, and she sees Val just kind of collapse on the deck. There's starting to be blood and stuff that's pooling around Valkaria, because you don't look good, girl. And so Jaz'Zara, in lieu, instead of attacking, she's gonna go and she's gonna head for Valkaria, and she's gonna run the distance to you and like trying to avoid the harpies as they swing at her and stuff like that. And she's gonna as she runs, and she just kind of drops to her knees and skids that last 5 feet to you, and she slams both of her hands down on you, and they glow with this purple energy, and she's gonna cast Cure Wounds on you. And
way to go, Jazz.
Heals you for 11 whole points of damage. Damn, I rolled real well. I got as high as you can get on it, actually. And you come back up for 11 points of damage.
With how much?
11.
Okay.
There's a big dramatic.
Ow!
And Jaz'Zara looks at you, she's like, "Are you alright?"
I think so. Ow!
And you are still prone, you're still laying on the ground, and you can't get up until it's your turn, and you'll have to use half of your movement to do that, just so you know.
Okay. I'm just gonna lie here.
And she pats you, and she's like, "Don't lie on the ground for long, because they have advantage to attack you if you're lying on the ground."
God damn it.
But Jazz stands back up, and she can't really go anywhere, but she's gonna kind of stand between you and the Harpy Queen. And just to like make it a little harder for the Harpy Queen to get at you. And
Val is going to try and slowly get to her hands and knees.
it's not your turn yet, dear.
But
You can't get up until it's your turn. So at the moment, you're just kind of laying on the deck. Just like, Asha, your turn.
How close is the harpy to me right now?
About 5 feet away from you.
Because Asha is feeling her vampire rage right now.
Okay.
also, when was the last time that Asha fed?
Well, I wasn't intending to feed, but I was intending to bite.
Okay.
Can I like rush her and
Sure,
bite?
yeah.
Yeah, so
Sure,
I'd like
might as
to do
well
that.
feed.
But I didn't necessarily imbibe. I'm just biting.
D20 plus 5.
20 plus 5. We've got 22.
22, you really fucking hit this. Like, you're pissed at this point. And you can feel kind of like your, like, vampiric, the anger and, like, this deep power that kind of resonates just below the surface at most times. Kind of like, you watch as this harpy, like, digs its claws into Val, and she collapses. And just unconscious, you see this blood start to pool from her. And as Jazz, like, runs towards her and, like, tries to, like, bring her back up with this healing magic, and you turn to face this harpy again, seeing, you know, your friends are bleeding, the crew is bleeding, one of them, the crew is just gone off the side of the ship, you don't know what's happened to her, and you just let out this demonic, like, deep, dark, magical, vampiric powers that you have, and you grab a hold of this harpy, you bring it closer to you, and you just chomp into her, and do 1d4 plus 3 damage.
1d4.
6. You dig your teeth into the side of this harpy's neck, and you just, like, tear out part of its, like, shoulder joint, and it screeches and it slams into the deck. It is standing, barely, but it is no longer flying.
And there's just, and this is just pettiness, but I bop her in the face.
There you go.
And I like, just out of rage. Just,
Yeah.
shut up.
There you go.
Val is watching this as she's prone on the deck. Just her head is to the side watching this going, go Asha! With all the blood just going down the face. That's my girl!
There you go.
This image of this, like,
Her
blood
very
queen.
put together friend has just completely lost her shit and ripped out somebody's throat. It's, you know, it's a bonding moment.
Yeah.
Bonding
So,
moment.
Asha is standing there. Valkaria, you're laying on the deck. There's blood, like, everywhere. And, like, the wound has, like, closed, but you still feel like shit.
Shit.
There's 3 harpies still on this deck screaming. The queen is over there, like, squaring off against the captain. It does occur to you, the first mate's gone. If the captain's gone too, what the fuck happens next? Not really sure what happens
Fuck.
because the first mate's gone too, and you hope somebody else on this boat really knows how to sail well.
Because we don't.
Jaz'Zara is standing over Valkaria, and she's just, you know, shoved this healing magic into her. And it feels kind of weird and, like, sharp, the way Jaz'Zara's magic feels to you, Val. And Asha, having seen Valkaria go down and just bleeding, thinking that maybe she's dead, you weren't sure, you turn to this harpy that's right in front of you, and you sink your teeth, like, into the shoulder joint of it, and you rip out part of its flesh. Just this blood of the harpy smearing down your face.
Hot.
And the vampire fangs, so, like, are just, like, kind of pointing out, and you just kind of, like, give it this horribly disturbing, like, you know, terrifying look at the harpy. And it kind of, like, crashes onto the deck, and it can no longer fly because of you've really just fucked up the joint, like, right there in its neck. The crew, mostly still standing. You don't know what happened to the first mate. They look kind of fucked, but they are rallying together behind all of you. And that is where we will end this session. And we will pick up with this fight next session.
Wow, that was a lot to... That's a cliffhanger, man.
Yeah, a little bit. So
It's kind of like our first real, like, because cliffhanger, we haven't usually
yeah.
ended...
Yeah, we don't usually end it on a cliffhanger like that.
Yeah, so it'll make it a little more interesting. Just make sure you don't change your character sheets with your hit points and everything, and your spell slots and all that before our next session.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, So you guys we are for the very first time ending on a cliffhanger to see how that goes. And
Our party is in peril.
our party is in peril, and you guys have experienced some of the weirdness of the magic of Isilcross by getting turned into a potted plant, getting hit in the face with a snowball, learning to walk on water,
Being compelled. It's like...
and just to hug. Just compelled to hug. And in all honesty,
so much
hugged
love
to
welling
death
up.
because Valkaria did temporarily die, or was at death's door.
That's for
I don't want to repeat that, which I'm sure she will many times.
Oh yeah, but
Because she's squishy.
Yep.
she is squishy. And my dear, the next time you get in a fight, you might want to start your spells off with mage armor to increase your.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I love that she's got Van Gogh notebooks for this horror. I just want to point that out. I love it.
They were a collection.
I fully believe that.
Yes. So yeah, you guys are in an interesting situation, a not fun situation, but on that note, we will end it here.
Alrighty.
Okay.
And you
Go
guys can
team.
tune in next time to see if our party survives. So
Really hope we do.
yeah, me too. So
Yeah.
otherwise, this campaign gonna get real weird, and the next session will be like how to roll new characters. So you know.
I will save my questions on how that works for next time.
Sure.
Because I know you've got to go, but
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you all so much for joining us for this session, and we will see you all next time.
peace
And,
and hair grease, everybody.
Peace and hair grease.
Yep.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
See you soon. Love you.
All
Bye.
right. Mushes.
Mwah.
Tune in next week for more fuckery because we have some serious questions and concerns.
On a boat. On a little boat.
Boat.
Little boat.
On a little boat. On a little boat.